Facts are the biggest thing with the club benchmarking it brings to the table. I don't ever want to walk into a committee meeting or board meeting and try to argue opinions with anybody. I've got mine, they've got theirs, but if I present the facts are what they are. And we can talk about what the facts mean, and that's a more productive conversation at the end of the day.
I basically have a hired consultant at my fingertips every day when I need to feel good about the decisions that I'm making. One of the best examples I have recently used, I was hiring a director of tennis. I had not hired a director of tennis in years. I had no idea what type of salary, if I was even in line. I asked a few of my neighbor club managers, and then I thought, oh my gosh, I have club benchmarking. I went to club benchmarking, I pulled it for the region, I pulled it nationally, but what I found is that I was indeed in line with the package and felt really good about the package that I did present. And as a matter of fact, when the director of tennis took the position, he never even changed a thing. I guess I felt very confident with it and it worked well.
I think for us, probably the most telling example of what club benchmarking has helped us to achieve at Lakewood is the sheer fact the club was losing $1.4 million a year 4 years ago. Today, as we sit here, using the facts and figures that club benchmarking has been able to provide us with, we're profitable at this point.
I think club benchmarking has changed the way we do business, but I think it's going to transform the overall industry. It's going to make the general managers and the controllers smarter and better and more adept. We've used it from everything from where our dues dollar goes, in terms of where our expenses are. It really helps in the granular of expenses, and we're a developer-owned club with 2 principal owners, and it really gives them trustworthy data, and makes decisions much easier.
I've been a club manager for 22 years and served in many different boards, and I think that the thing that I've seen all boards have in common is they make important decisions without the information that most businesses would take for granted. And I've sat in many meetings where we had discussions about important things where our facts were, my friend told me, my cousin's club, my brother-in-law said, and we'd be making multi-million-dollar decisions with that kind of information. And I found, armed with club benchmarking information, that we just take all that out of the mix, and then we can start with a set of facts and really spend our time on what are we going to do based on this information rather than what is the relevant information.
I think the impact for club benchmarking on a manager is that it takes you outside of your own frame of reference and forces you to look at different operations that compare reasonably to yours. So it requires you to challenge yourself about the approach that you've taken, the assumptions that you've made. And the other thing that it does is it gives you another tool as you communicate with the board or with your budget and finance committee to demonstrate that maybe you are in line with the industry, and that data takes some of the guesswork out of the process.
I used a lot of slides in my presentation to the membership at the annual meeting, and I think bringing in that outside information was incredibly beneficial for us. The membership looks at that and understands that myself or my board, we're not up there just making this stuff up, that there's reality behind all of this information.
Strategic comparative analysis could actually do 2 things. In one case, it might find where there's challenges or, in fact, opportunities. It can do something else that's equally powerful. It can confirm that what you're doing or what your club is doing is actually adhering, let's say, to the norms in the industry. It's not necessarily about identifying only problems or issues. It can be as much or more so about validating that the model that you're actually implementing is the correct model.
Knowledge is power. I think every club manager suffered the frustration of being in a meeting where important decisions are going to be made on no information or misinformation. When you can come and say, not just, this is my opinion, I am an expert as a club manager, but say, here are the facts, and challenge anyone to identify what benchmark they want, this club, this region, this kind of club, and you're able to produce that benchmark, it really just changes the discussion and changes your place in the discussion.
One of the issues that is endemic in the industry is that private club boards, by their very nature, are transient. There's a constant turnover, and there's a constant demand on the part of the manager to educate the board. If a manager has access to true, credible, accurate information, and that information can be used to educate the board as to what the business model in the club industry is, it can have a huge impact on the capability of the board to have one view as opposed to 13 different views about what is important and what isn't.
I've seen more than once that using the information proactively rather than reactively changes the dialogue. We've looked at decisions about golf course spending or the structure of our food and beverage department and seen that we can go and lay out, sort of a low, medium, high and put our information in the spectrum. It's not just defending our number, but showing really contextually where we are and saying, in this continuum, we have a choice to be in different places. Here's where we are, but we can choose to be in a different place if we want. And it'll be an informed decision. It'll be going to a different destination with the map in hand rather than just getting on the road and seeing where you end up.